Hi again then guys, and welcome to another straight line performance build for Forza Horizon 3, and this time we're going for one of quite a few different variations of the McLaren range, which kind of started with the MP4. This one though is the 570S. Now I must admit, I'm not a huge fan of all these variations that they do, the 540, the 570, the 675LT, all these different versions. I understand why people like them, but they're just not my thing. That being said, performance isn't exactly lacking. McLarens are known for being fast anyway, but these cars really are fast, even within the class of being ultra exotic. They do pretty much give anything in the game a great run for its money, regardless of comparative price or power. Now, I would recommend that 1500 horsepower engine conversion, so there's no real worry there as far as power. You are running the most in the game. As far as drivetrain, I would recommend all-wheel drive. Some people might not want that. That's down to you, of course. As far as aspiration, I would recommend, of course, the twin-turbo. And apart from that, you know the drill. Increase the power all the way, lower the weight, racing tyres, all that kind of good stuff. As you can see, we are running a roll cage on this particular car. You don't have to fit that, but I would recommend it. It just gives you that little bit of an advantage in terms of PP level and handling in particular. And the stability, or not stability, but the rigidity, I should say, is beneficial in a car with this kind of performance. It's a very rabid car, and although it is a straight line build, you are going to be taking it around corners as well, of course. So it does help out. Now, you could fit a roll cage to any car that you want to, but some cars are more beneficial than others in terms of fitting it. Older cars generally have better results from it, but newer ones as well, of course, do, but in a different way. Now, as far as the benchmark, 1.9 to 60 is pretty strong, 3.4 to 100 is pretty strong as well, kind of more impressive in fact, and the top-end performance is a fraction under 270. So it's not the quickest of cars in the game, but it's certainly no slouch, that's for sure. As far as the gearbox, I would recommend a final drive of 2.95, then individual gears of 2.9, 2, 1.5, 1.17, 0.95 and 0.78. Alignment, you know the drill if you've been on the channel before. Neutral, camber and toe, 6 degrees of caster on this particular car. You could take it lower though if you want to. Anti-roll we've got on 28, front and rear. Springs on 139 and 236 with the lowest ride height on this particular car. Dampers we've got on 11, 17, 5 and 8. Aero doesn't apply, and for the diff, as I usually do, I've got 100% on acceleration, 0 on decel, but as always, feel free to mess around with those. It's not a setup which will work for everyone, and it's not supposed to be. It's designed so that you can change it for personal preference, and for the centre split, we've gone pretty heavily towards the back. 80%, which is the kind of level that I have on most of my exotics, because having that 20% go into the front makes such a huge difference. Off the line, it helps you launch better, but also off-road, because if you catch the grass in a 1500 horsepower rear-wheel drive car, it's going to be a lot more skittish than catching the grass in a 1500 horsepower all-wheel drive car. But at the same time, the fact that you've still got 80% going to the back means that it's definitely capable of drifting. It's still playful, it's still fun, and of course, if that doesn't work out for you, you could change it higher or lower accordingly. That's the whole point of the tune. Now, if you want this straight on your car, you can find it, of course, on my storefront. So just check down below in the description for the keywords to get that quickly. But overall, regardless of whether you try to do it yourself or get it from the storefront or some variation of the tune, whichever way you choose, I hope you have a lot of fun with it. And all that remains is, of course, to take it out on the street to see what it can do. Now, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of this car in particular. There aren't many McLarens which I am a huge fan of. It's more a case of having respect for the company rather than love for it. It's similar to me to something like a Nissan GTR in that regard. I don't love the car, but I'm certainly respectful of what it can do. It's a technical achievement, if you will. And one of the biggest advantages, if not the biggest advantage of a car like the 570S, in my opinion at least, is a similar advantage to what I mentioned about the Lamborghini Gallardo, and that is that it offers, especially on Horizon when tuned, the performance of a much bigger, and I'm talking physically bigger, longer and wider supercar, but in a more compact layout, and that gives you such a big advantage in manoeuvrability. And as you can see, straight line performance certainly isn't an issue for this car. It gets up to 270 extremely quickly, to say the least. So if you decide to use this tune or get it from my storefront, either way, hope you have a lot of fun with it, and of course you can check out plenty more on the channel. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.